just thought I'd have a quick chat to the camera while I'm on the end of this traverse bit. It is flipping amazing, this bit, trying to show the line there, follows that traversey bit. It's so good, it's some of the best climbing out there. The next bit goes up onto that face in a second, just goes around the corner first. I'm going to stop chatting now though, because it is a little bit pumpy hanging on here, so I'll catch you again in a minute. That bit is such a good bit of climbing. You come up the corner, it's really hard to see that sort of corner there, having been up the face, which is kind of down there. Sorry for the camera going all over the place, it's pretty tricky to film with this one, harder than breaking the barrier. Look at that view behind me, that's flipping awesome, isn't it? I just love this route. I'm not really on my hands much here, because it's a little crimp, but I'm not really pushing on it because my feet on the Gashidos are so flipping good there. There's no drama at all. Just having a mellow out for a minute before I do the next bit, then it steps left onto the face, which is just absolutely amazing. Loads of seabirds flying around, it's cool, good spot. So I'll catch you again in a minute after doing another lovely bit of climbing. That bit is just absolutely spectacular. You step on to the face from where the ropes go around the corner, you step around onto the face. Massive handholds, but pretty small feet. It's best just, I didn't place any gear, it's best just to get the rig a little bit. I think you get some sinker kit over here. I haven't got much kit left either, so much gear to be had. I place too much, I always do on that pitch, but it's just so flipping good. You're always getting into these pretty restful positions. You some kind of you can't see the feet so well, but they're massive feet just here. Straightish arm. I actually had my COVID jab yesterday, so this arm is the one I had the injection in, and it's actually it's not feeling on top form, but look at the size of that hold, it's great. Just those views as well, all 360 everywhere. Sorry for the cameras everywhere, but it's just so good. Well, there you go, folks. I hope you enjoyed a bit of climbing footage of me wandering my way up Northwest Passage. For me, that's one of the best E1s, any grade actually, to be honest. In Wales, I flipping love it. The first pitch is nice, but the second pitch is just spectacular. A bit varied, loads of nice gear. You can push on a bit where you want to. It's by the sea. Look at the view. Ferry going off over to Ireland behind the lighthouse and that. Seabirds everywhere. Seen a seal. There's a seabird flying just behind me. Just the atmosphere is awesome. But just wanted to have a quick look at the gear, because I like to do these sorts of things, have a chat through it. Cams, especially on that kind of traverse across. I placed loads there. I don't think I had many cams left, so a rack of cams. I placed the totem, although I don't think you particularly need micro cams. You could definitely get away without them. But yeah, all those cams, so I think that's pretty much all of them. I'm pretty sure I placed the silver somewhere as well. There he is, just to get the full house of cams going. We got rid of all of them except for the blue totem, which is still on my harness. I kind of tend to take that by default on sort of E1 upwards. I placed the nut key. I used that as a runner actually. I put it on the end of a sling just to use the carabiner. And then nuts, what have we placed nut-wise? Used the half nuts again today. Didn't really need that one because I kind of placed it, and then get tunnel vision sometimes, don't you? And don't sort of forget to look around, and actually there's loads of better gear, so I shouldn't really have placed that one. Other than that though, those half nuts went in quite well. Small to medium, I suppose. Well, it's a medium to large actually, I guess. That's what I placed nuts wise. There you go. A few half nuts, a few normal nuts. Standard rack. I'd just take the standard rack that you would normally take on those kind of grades, really. Leads me on to climbing E1. That was kind of the focus of this chat, was to look at the skills needed to climb E1. You don't need to train specifically to climb that grade. Really, there was definitely, I shook out a bit, but you get into really nice positions. So if you're getting a little bit pumped or worked, you just make another move or two and you're into nice stable positions. And that movement just comes from climbing a lot. So if you're sort of looking to do your first E1, break into that grade, then I reckon just doing lots of climbing and getting like a grade pyramid. So if you want to climb E1, do loads of VSs, loads of HVSs, and then break into E1, because you'll have that sort of background from it. So when we say pyramid, loads of whatever, severe, a little bit less hard severe, a little bit less VS, a little bit less HVS, and then you can go into the E1, but just that nice pyramid. To use UKC, and you can actually see that on the graphs and stuff like that. All that climbing will bring you like the nice movement skills. It will get you slick at placing gear, because that's a big thing on E1 and upwards. I'm not saying below that you don't need to worry about this, but sometimes you have to place one when you aren't in the perfect position. You're still going to try and get in a nice position, but you'll have to place one where maybe your arms are working a bit. So you want to be nice and quick, don't you? Pick the right nut first time, or aim to, in, clip, done. It's just it just relieves the stress so much to get a nice runner in, doesn't it? So physically, you don't need to train, just climb a lot. But if you do want to train, just some mileage. I do things like 4x4s in the wall. If you don't know what that is, sort of just look it up, because the video is going to be long anyway. But basically, it's just mileage. But you don't need to train, just go climbing lots. But we can't all go climbing lots, because some people aren't lucky enough to live places like here. So some people say, oh, don't train. Well, actually, maybe it is useful if you can't get to the crag. I kind of think that tactics start to play a bit more of a role around that E1 grade as well. Route reading, finding where the rests are, spotting where the next bit of gear is, and then sometimes just getting a bit of a wriggle on, so you spot that nice ledge over there, rather than dawdling along, just kind of head to it, smash out those moves, don't worry about things too much, place your bit of gear from that rest, all that sort of stuff. So knowing when it's okay to amble along, and knowing when you do need to get a bit of a move on, like tactics are key for that kind of thing. And just the route reading as well, so have a good look at the guidebook, use those rests to place the gear, to look ahead though and see what's coming, to think about your ropes. I got a bit of rope drag on the blue rope, I always do on that route, because you end up in the corner, and I've always run out of it long enough extenders by that point. But you know, it's enough to make do with it, and keeping the pink free in that case, you know, that ran nice and smoothly. But just sort of thinking ahead for things like that. Psychologically, I suppose you've got to be sort of switched on as well. You know, you might be might be a bit more run out. There is more chance of falling off when you're pushing the grade, so be accepting of that. Make sure you're really happy with your B layer, and then just crack on with it. Sort of, you know, once you know you've got a good B layer, you've done your buddy checks, all that kind of thing, sort of stop worrying about that and just sort of get in the zone. I don't think you really need to do loads of falling off practice or anything like that, but you know, down the wall, that could be a useful thing to do to build up the trust between you and your mate. On that route, for example, though, you know, a nice sort of vert E1, if you did fall off, the gear's so good, and you know, there's nothing to hit really either, so it would be like the cleanest fall ever as long as you're placing good gear. But psychologically, just be sort of accepting of that. I think when you're sort of trying to break into a new grade, E1 in this case, then you want to play to your strengths. So if you're really good at vert stuff, that pitch might really suit you. If you're an overhang Jedi, maybe less so. Or if you're into slabs, you know, maybe that's sort of slab to vert, so it might suit you. But just play to your strengths on rock types and things. You know, if you're do grit all the time and then you came here, you might find that really hard. Vice versa, if you climb on these sea cliffs all the time, you might find the grit really hard. So play to your strengths as you're easing into the grades, and then once you have eased in, I think then is a time to sort of add bits of variety, because you want to be like an all-rounder, don't you, to a point where, you know, if you want to say, oh yeah, I'm an E1 climber, you want to be able to do a crack, a slab, an overhang, all the different bits, don't you? So that can come in time, but to start with, just play to your strengths. And I like to find routes that sort of inspire me, you know, what just looks great in the guidebook, or you've seen a picture on UKC or wherever, and then you can like really commit to it, and you know, it's really satisfying to have that kind of tick on a route that you really wanted to do, isn't it? So get yourself inspired by pictures, tick lists, make stories of adventures, whatever it might be, and that's just going to make it even more worthwhile. I do find as well that with trad, excuse the jets going over, training central around here, on trad, people can be a bit anti-practicing a route first, but again, breaking into the grade, why not practice it? Why not drop a top rope down it with a mate? It'd be hard to do here, but you know, on a single pitch crag, which might be more suitable for breaking into grades, drop a top rope down it, or if you're on your own, work it on a self-lining kind of thing if you've got the skills to do that. And then once you've got it dialed and you know what the gear placements are and that kind of stuff, then you can lead it. So you've worked it, you've eased into the grade, and you might do that on a few routes, and then you might think, right, well actually I'm climbing E1 okay, that's good for the head and good for the psychological side of things. You might think, oh right, well now I really want to on-site an E1, so again you play to your strengths, don't you, find that one that's suitable, and then you try and get the on-site. Don't have to on-site stuff straight away, do you though? There's a big thing about that in trad. It's a special thing to on-site a route, but you're breaking into a grade, why not practice it? I'm a big fan of that. I'll leave you with one last top tip, and it might sound like a slightly silly one, but I'm going to say it nonetheless because it's really important. If you want to climb E1, you've got to try E1. So if you don't try, you won't know. It is not such a big deal as the name suggests. E for extreme, E1 and all this kind of thing seems like a massive barrier. Actually, I would much rather climb E1 than HVS a lot of the time. HVS can be a funny grade, can't it? You get all sorts of things. Seems like the biggest grade there is, like wide ranging. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but it feels like it sometimes. If you want to try one though, just go and try one. Like I say, top rope it first, do whatever, but just go and have a go when you've got the skills to do so. Hope you enjoyed that video. Load of waffle, bit of climbing. Hopefully there's a nice mix. Hopefully it won't be too long, but sorry for all the chat at the end. Thanks very much for watching as always. Do fire away questions. I will answer as best I can. Thanks for the continued support. Say it every time, going to keep saying it, but it's massively appreciated. Fire away with those questions. Once again though, thanks very much for watching. More videos coming up very soon.